Hey everybody, it's Colin here. It is Thursday night, so I'm going to be uploading this video on Friday, so it's literally the night before I'm uploading this. I'm here in South Dakota. I hope everybody's quarantine is going really well. Quickly before we start this video, I know this is a long one. Please comment below what you have been doing to keep busy during this quarantine, because I'm going crazy here. This is a house that's isolated. It's outside of Sioux Falls in Renner. There's nothing to do around here. Obviously everything's closed. I wouldn't even want to go out if I could because I'm a diabetic. So a couple of updates. There's a lot to talk about. I've heard all of your guys' questions online. There's some issues that need to be addressed that are going to be very, very soon. But before all of that happens, I have a couple videos to bring you guys, including this one. This is a very exciting video. What's interesting actually, and why I'm kind of framing this video as a Conjuring style video, is that this house that I'm in is haunted. This is a random rental house outside of Sioux Falls. Obviously my family sold our haunted house that we were living in back in August, and my parents moved down to Austin. But we wanted to come up and see some family because both of my grandmothers have been in the hospital recently. It's been kind of a rough time with that. There have been a lot of different things in life that have just been piling on this year. We came up here, and what's interesting is that the very first night that I got here, it was just a little bit creepy. There's an eerie kids room upstairs in this house with kids decor. There's a little crawl space down here filled with kids toys. And I've been FaceTiming different people and talking to them while I've been here in quarantine. And multiple times while I've been FaceTiming people, we've heard things, and I was joking with my friend the other night, and we were talking about the potential to do a ghost hunt here in the house, and we were just laughing about it, saying, oh, you should ghost hunt here. I'm like, oh yeah, of course. But what's crazy is that today, out of the totally random blue, the owner of the house actually came to my dad and told him that at one point a group of women came over to the house for a party, and they were just, you know, hamming it up, talking, and this one woman took the owner to the side and said, I'm a psychic medium, I keep this on the down low, but there are 13 spirits from the ground that are inhabiting the house that come and go, and they were kind of disturbed when you started building this house. And there are three, I don't know, 2 and 3. There are 3 male entities that inhabit the home at all times, and they do not want you to finish constructing the building, which is interesting because there's still construction equipment out back. They're still building onto this place, and it is finished. Like the part that we're in is finished, but there are projects that are still going on. And the very first night, I'm sleeping down here in the basement area alone. I was hearing bangs and little bumps upstairs, and I thought one of my parents was walking around on the middle floor. So I yelled out, hello? And nobody responded. And I was like, oh, well, that was kind of creepy. And second night, I was also hearing some weird things. I thought I heard just a weird humming. My friend came over the other night, and we heard this weird kind of shuffling noise out by the garage area, but it was about 3 a.m. and they were leaving the house and no one was around, but they were very loud noises. And so to have this kind of weird, ominous feeling. Oh, and then I should add in here, my toilet in my bathroom just randomly started leaking. And I'm not talking, I didn't clog it or anything. Don't think I'm disgusting. It literally just started like spewing water, and it turns out it was a groundwater leak. And the people who came to fix it were talking about how random that was and how weird and everything. And the homeowner literally looked at my dad, because this was after they had told us about this, and said, it's like the spirits really don't want us to finish this house. Stuff like this happens every single week. I've been attributing it to the ghosts. And so I'm down here completely alone, and at the end of this video and throughout the video, I'm actually going to do a paranormal investigation of this home. Maybe I'll film more. If you guys like it, please leave a comment and let me know if I should investigate this property, because it is really creepy in here. Some of these rooms also are just eerie. That is all besides the point of the video today. So if you notice, the beginning was an homage to the film The Conjuring. And this whole video is a love letter to that movie, and we have a star-studded lineup. I'm going to be talking to a number of paranormal celebrities like Dave Schrader, host of Beyond the Darkness Radio, Susan Slaughter, who's been in our videos, she's a close friend of mine, Bridget Marquardt, the girl next door who has her own podcast, and many others, including Andrea Perron, who is one of the daughters from the Perron family who experienced the original Conjuring haunting and worked alongside Ed and Lorraine Warren when all of that stuff went down, and the current owners and residents of the Conjuring house. And this video is going to be released the day before the Conjuring live event happens. And that's starting Saturday on the Dark Zone Network. I'm going to be going live 2 nights throughout the event. In one of the nights, I'm going to be doing a very, very spooky experiment with the family who lives there live on air, and I'm going to be interacting with you guys. The tickets for the whole week are already for sale, and they're going to be live streaming coverage from the Conjuring house 24/7 for an entire week. We were just on People Magazine and in Business Insider and a bunch of different news outlets, and I'm so happy to be involved with this event. So if you guys want to support that, I'm going to put the link in the description below, because I'm really excited. The event has allowed me to connect with a lot of these different people and catch up with old buddies of mine. But without further ado, I'm going to start this video with my interview in quarantine with the current owners of the Conjuring house in Rhode Island. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a comment and a like below. Subscribe to the channel. I love you. And let's get spooky. What's up, guys?
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Glad to finally patch through tonight on the channel. Everybody that's watching, we have 2 very special guests. I mean, the whole story and their experiences speak for themselves. So I'm just gonna let you guys start us off by introducing yourselves.
I'm Corey Heinzen,
Jennifer Heinzen.
and I guess we're the proud owners of the Conjuring house.
The crazy owners.
Yeah, however you want to look at it.
I love it. I would love to live there. I love, haunted buildings and staying in them for extended periods of time. So you guys are living my dream right now.
It's different, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, could not imagine the things that I'm about to hear from you guys. But we'll get this started. My first question is kind of just an obvious question that I feel like a lot of people would have. But did you guys know that the house that you were buying was the Conjuring house when you bought it?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did all the research before we came to it, and we knew what we were getting ourselves into for the most part. I mean, you come in with a little bit of skepticism because, Hollywood embellishes stories so much, but it hasn't really
Hasn't disappointed.
No.
So you guys actually went out of your way to purchase this house?
Yes, we knew what it was when we bought it. Yeah.
Has it lived up to its reputation, would you say?
Yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking buying it wasn't cheap. It wasn't a cheap house to buy, so you take that chance knowing what it could be. Either way, it could be really exciting or it could be terrifying, but it's actually been great. Like, we've really had a lot of awesome experiences, and we've shared it with a lot of people already, and they've had a lot of awesome experiences, and so far we're really enjoying ourselves.
Well, that's, the best thing that can happen in that situation, I feel like. So that's good to hear. Yeah. Just to start this off, we'll kind of get a little bit of a background. How long have you guys lived in the house now?
We've been here since June 21st of last year, so just under a year.
Yeah.
Okay, so almost the year anniversary.
Almost, yeah. We just hit our year anniversary for the first time we looked at the house, so that was exciting.
Okay, well, you're getting close, big milestones. Now you got the first live streamed mega ghost hunter event coming live from the house. Now next year you can do another anniversary. Yep. So for you guys, I guess I love history, and I love giving a real history of the places that I like to visit and profile. So just tell me about what you know about the house and kind of things that have happened there in the past, paranormal or historical.
As far as the history of the house, it was deeded in 1680 to the Richardson Arnold family by Roger Williams. Roger Williams actually was assisted by John Smith of Pocahontas fame, which was really neat. We weren't made aware of that until a couple months ago.
Right.
But so in 1680 they started building it, and throughout that time they had the King Philip's War going on in this area, so there was a lot of bloodshed. and the land around, like not just this house, other our neighbors have problems. It's just stigmatized. So, but anyways, the house was finished being built in 1736, and it housed that family for 8 generations. So,
Wow.
I mean, it saw the birth of it saw Civil War, it
has a lot of history. It really does.
Anybody ever actually died on the property or in the house?
So that part's been really hard for us because I don't feel like they keep records like they did back then. So unless we find actual paperwork that shows us who did, who didn't die, we haven't been calling it a fact. But we know for sure at least 2 people died on the property of exposure. I think they were listed as drinking and fell asleep in the cold, in the snow.
Yeah.
So we know for sure that 2 people died of that. We know for sure a young boy.
They called it a suicide, but he had drank horse liniment.
Yeah.
And then he crawled into like this weird
crawl space,
if you will, in the basement and died in there. And those are the only 3 that we were able to actually
confirm.
Like have tangible evidence that we can show people.
Yeah.
So it's like that's what we go on. Like as far as the drownings and stuff like that, or
the
hanging, like we're not calling anybody like frauds or anything like that. It's just we can't prove it ourselves. We just want to provide the facts that we can.
Right.
So.
Right.
And that's what matters. I mean, the real history, that's what I'm interested in. And what did you say that he drank? Horse what?
Horse liniment? That's what it's called. What it is, I couldn't tell you. It killed him.
Yeah, it was listed as a poison, but I think it's used for. We looked it up one time.
Did you?
Maybe I can't remember. It was listed as a poison of some sort. Something in it must be poisonous, and something that was used for. I don't remember what it was for, though. Now that you say that.
No.
Interesting. What a weird thing to drink for that young boy. It's sad, but why? Yeah. I wonder why he would drink that. So we've got you've got these deaths, you've got all of the history that's happened in the area, the different wars and I mean, it's such an old house too. When you consider, like me being in Texas, a lot of the stuff in Texas, especially in Austin, was built in like the 80s or 60s. It's a very new city. So to have a house that old here in the US is truly, kind of hard to find unless you're on the East Coast.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I mean, New England's just, it's all old.
Yeah, definitely compared to like California or anything like that. So I want you guys to kind of just take me through the last year, like right when you moved in. What were the first things that you noticed? Not even paranormal about the house, just how did it feel? And then kind of just tell me the story of what started to happen in the home.
The first thing that really stuck out to us the day that we moved in, I'd probably have to say, was the mortgage payment. That really stuck out to me. But moving in, I mean, the day we moved in, honest to God, we walked in the front door and within 5 minutes, a door right in the main room opened up for us.
Right.
And I mean, it's a rough door. They're all latches, like the old school latches. And it's a
hard door to open.
It is. And just swung open. And then my daughter was in another room going through some pictures that the former owner left. And
she heard a growl.
Yeah.
So just
weird.
Yeah. Just a lot of strange things happening in the beginning. I guess now we're kind of used to it, but in the beginning, a lot of just strange things.
It's nothing like the movie. Like, everybody's like, oh my God, is anybody possessed? And it's nothing like that. It's just very mischievous. I would almost say poltergeist activity because a lot of things get moved, thrown, misplaced. But, nobody's getting hurt. People have been grabbed. Scratched.
But none of us.
Yeah. And
like the family hasn't been.
Yeah.
It's not, it's weird to say, but it's not a scary feeling that we get from it. It doesn't feel like harmful. It doesn't feel evil. It just doesn't feel scary.
So you guys would say that it's not I mean, obviously, if you watch The Conjuring, that's like such a scary movie, and it's filled with all this like very negative activity. But I mean, you guys live there, and it's more just activity to you. It doesn't really have that sinister.
It doesn't give us that feeling. We've had people that have been here before that have felt that. We've had a few guests that were supposed to stay overnight and they've left because of the feelings they've gotten, or I mean what they've gotten from EVPs or spirit box. We just ourselves haven't had that feeling. I don't know if it's just because day one we came in with an attitude that we just talk to them like they're people. We decided to try and coexist, and that's just how we live here, and we just haven't had that evil, you better get out of the house scary feeling yet. Because believe me, I would run.
Yeah, that's a good thing, I would imagine, for you guys since you actually live there.
We are lucky enough that we still have a home up in Maine. Our daughter's a college student, and we decided to keep the house up there for a little longer, really more or less because we didn't know what would happen here. You never know what's going to happen in a house like this. So we decided if we keep the house up in Maine, we have a backup. So we have a place to go if we need it.
Yeah, in case you need to run out, take all the bags and just leave.
Yeah.
You've got somewhere to go.
And honestly, there are times where you need a break from here. There are times where it's just so draining that it's nice to get away for a couple of days and take a fresh breath of air. Sometimes it's hard to explain. It's weird.
It can be a lot living in an environment where, anything can happen, because I lived in a haunted house of my own in high school for 5 or 6 years. It's not always comfortable.
And it's not always uncomfortable. It's a mix of both. It's not a daily activity happening here that we're overwhelmed, but at the same time, it can be draining.
If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You're going to get scared because we're not psychics. We don't see him walking up on us. So, it could be Casper, the friendly ghost, and he comes up, he's like, hello, and it's still going to jump you. So it's just accept that fact because we're investigators. This is what we do, so.
Yeah.
So do you guys think that the energy and kind of whatever was left over from the original events that the Warrens covered in the house has faded or kind of left the property?
I do, but we have had several psychics come in that have told us that the house is fooling us. So we are cautious all the time, and we've been told that they feel like the house is starting to awaken, I guess they say.
Yeah. A lot of people have voiced concern because of the black mists, the shadow figures and stuff like that, because you're talking about, in theory, it's to do with Native American spirits. And, I'm sure this house has been cleansed. I'm sure this house has been blessed numerous times, and that's probably amped up the energy. So it's trying to deal with what's gone on in the past and how has that affected what we're dealing with now.
Right.
So.
You've gotten actually warnings from people, but you don't feel like it's really negative. It's a very interesting kind of parallel.
Yeah.
But I guess
it is.
My question would be then kind of focusing for a moment on the darker side of stuff. What has been the scariest experience that you've had where you have had that moment where you wanted to run out?
Honestly, I would say the flashing lights. I've been doing this for a little over 10 years now, and I've heard stories of the energy bursts people see in rooms or whatnot. I've never witnessed it myself until I've come here. And it's like somebody standing in the room with the old school bulbs on a camera, and you just get this big bright flash real quick, and then you'll see a little blue ball, and it'll fizzle out and pop, and then all of a sudden you'll get another flash in another corner of the room or on the floor. It's all over the place. I've never seen anything like that. And it's and you go blind just for that one split second. And it's once I get my sight back, is something going to be standing in front of me or something like that? That really did it for me. I mean.
Yeah. I haven't seen that myself. That I was not here when that happened.
What would you say is your freakiest experience?
I think probably the most profound experience I've had is when him and I both saw a shadow figure standing in the doorway in the middle of the night. And I wouldn't say it was scary. Looking back, it should have been scary, but in the moment it didn't scare me. But I guess it was profound, I guess. It was,
yeah.
I mean, it could have been. Who knows what could have happened? It just stood there and it was gone, but it's just kind of scary to think about it standing there.
Yeah, and don't worry, I'm not trying to frame you guys as having intense, scary, negative activity, because I love that you guys are actually down to be like, it's not as scary as people think, it's just activity, because that's what I think the big problem is with ghost hunting shows, is that it's like always the dark demons coming for your soul. But in reality, I never have once really felt like in danger or attacked. I've felt, creeped out because of the location, and like, of course you're in an abandoned hospital, like it's freaking creepy, but like it's never really been that evil. So yeah, you guys, that's awesome. That's how I describe it too, is profound. When you have that like intense experience, it kind of just, it makes you think deeply about what just happened and why it happened. What do you guys think the lights are? What do you think caused that?
No idea. I've caught the lights on video before from a camera in a separate bedroom. So I don't know. You don't see the sizzle thing that you talk about. You see hearing, but it's weird. Like we've got like, I don't know, probably 3 days worth of footage of the lights at night just blinking, but it's in one corner, and then it's on the floor like a big circle, and then it's on the side of the bed, and I have no idea. Out of everything that we've caught on camera, for me, that is the only thing that blows my mind that we just can't explain.
Because it's mostly located in the middle bedroom upstairs, and been through 5 DVRs. 5?
We're on our 5th one.
We're on our 5th DVR system, and like, I'm not like a tech savvy kind of person, but I know that there's like a timestamp that's good for the whole entire system, but yet the one camera that always messes up and the timestamp jumps forward 3 minutes backwards
all over the place
is in that middle bedroom.
Yeah.
The timestamp doesn't match all the other cameras, and it's like, how does that work?
Right.
And I mean, we'd switch them all out and just try to make it a different channel, and it still would do it.
Well, there've been a couple other cameras in different rooms that do the jump ahead. When you try to review the footage, it does the jump ahead 3 minutes where it's kind of all over the place. The middle bedroom is the one that's consistent with that. It's strange. It's weird.
So I was going to ask you guys, what's the most active, I guess, part of the house? Would it be the middle bedroom?
I'd say the middle bedroom and the library, which is strange because they're
on top of each other.
Right. It's the same section of the house. But those are the two, I'd say those are probably the most 2 active rooms in the house, yeah.
Yeah.
And what kind of happens there typically to people or yourself?
The library is definitely where we get a lot of objects moving, as far as like the books have come off. We've had books come off the shelf, and one book came off the shelf twice, the same book. But we've had other books that have come down. We randomly set up weird objects in there just to catch it moving on camera because we just think that stuff's cool. So that's had a lot of stuff within the room that's moving. The middle bedroom, besides the lights physically being in the bedroom, there's a lot of weird stuff. Like, it's just that is the room that physically messes with you, I think.
Well, we did catch remember the shadow that was up on the ceiling?
Yes.
And it set off the motion sensing light that's on the DVR camera.
Yeah.
And you actually see it because it was kind of like during the day, but the middle camera, remember that?
So we have a camera in the middle bedroom and a bed in the bedroom next to it. And in the middle bedroom, you see a black shadowy thing take over the whole camera. It just kind of comes up and it takes over the whole camera, and it sets off the deterrent light. In the bedroom on the outside, before it sets off the light, you see a black shadow on the ceiling. So yeah, I forgot about that.
So what do you think the black shadows are? Do you have any theory on what that would be?
I don't know. It's thick and like when you see it, like I know Keith and Carl Johnson saw it when they first investigated here before the Warrens, and they explained it to a T exactly what we were seeing before we had even talked to them. And it's just it looks like a smoke, if that makes sense, but it's just black. It's black as black, and when it actually collects up enough, you can't see through it. Light can't pass through it.
Right.
Like there's no ambient light to be seen. And you're in a dark room, but your eyes get used to a dark room. But when this thing shows up, you ain't seeing past it. And it's there because you just have that feeling like your space is being invaded. And it's like, and
yeah,
that's usually what happens to us.
A couple people have seen it, and we've caught it on camera a few times, but we don't have any idea what it is. No idea.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what, let me rephrase that. Do you guys think that the energy in the home is like happy with you being there or doesn't want you in there? What do you guys feel from these encounters?
I think it's happy with us being here. And the same psychics that tell us to be careful also are telling us that the house is happy that we're here.
Interesting.
It's weird, kind of mixed. I think there's probably something that's here that they say is laying dormant, and that's what we have to watch out for.
And what do they think that is? Whatever's not really manifesting. Any ideas?
A lot of people think it's an elemental, like something that was here before anything was here. And the interesting thing is the property actually sits on two ley lines where two ley lines intersect. Plus it sits on a giant aquifer. And that right there, that's like...
We have a well in the basement as well. And a lot of people are saying that that's where they think,
yeah,
it's not manifesting from, but coming from something.
It's not helping.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think is like the most common thing that you experience? Like, what kind of activity happens in the house?
I'd say the most common thing is probably the doors opening and objects moving.
So it's a lot of physical, kind of like poltergeist activity.
Yeah. Yep. But it's childish, it's like...
Yeah, and that's why it feels playful.
That is so interesting. I love, like physical stuff. That's my favorite type of evidence, when you can see something moving. It takes it beyond the realm of tools and everything, and you're actually totally unable to explain like what you just saw, which is the coolest thing to capture for me. Do you ever have like family and friends that you invite over to the house that don't want to come, or is it more of like a fun experience to come over to the Conjuring house?
Good mix of both, I think.
Yeah, my family refused to come here. They believe in the movie too much.
A lot of them will come in during the day and see the house, but it's trying to get them to stay the night. That won't happen probably ever.
I would imagine, yeah. You have fans of like The Conjuring, the movie, that come out to see the house?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, does that create...
And there's nothing wrong with that. What we were getting ourselves into when we bought it, it's like, the previous owner had problems with trespassers and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, well, if you give them what they want to experience, to see if it's based on true events and stuff like that, give that to them and say, look, if we give it to you, it's yours to lose. So don't be a bunch of peckerheads, and we won't close it up on you guys. Sorry, can I say that?
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah, no, yes, you can.
But, we haven't had a problem with trespassers. The only problem we have are just the looky-loos that, stop in the middle of the road and get out of their car and take pictures, and it's a busy road. Yeah. There's nowhere to pull over, and people just don't care. They get out and they just take pictures, and it's like, dude, you can't do that.
Right.
You're going to get somebody hurt. You're going to get killed. The neighbors hate it.
Yeah,
You know,
the neighbors really hate it, and I feel bad. I totally see where they're coming from. We have cameras all over the place, so we see them pulling up and stopping in the middle of the road, and we go out and say something because I don't want somebody to cause an accident here on the streets. And you see them go one way, you see them come back, you see them go one way, so you know they're turning around in neighbors' driveways. I totally get why they're annoyed. I don't blame them. I mean, that's probably been the hardest part for people. If we lived on a side street where it wasn't annoying other people, that'd be better, but unfortunately we don't.
Yeah, that's got to be a headache for you guys, just dealing with that sometimes. But I mean, at least you've never had someone try to actually force their way into the house or anything like that. I feel like that would take it to the next level, definitely.
Oh, we have German Shepherds. I feel like anybody that wants to trespass, I would say good luck.
I bet German Shepherds get to them before I do.
Yeah, then they're another ghost on the property.
It's true.
I guess at the very end of the day, I've got like 2 more questions. What do you guys think is in the house? What kind of what's the entity or the energy or who or just what is it? Do you have any theories?
It's to my opinion, I trickster and Bathsheba here during an EVP session, and oh my God, Bathsheba's here. Well, no kidding, because everybody is asking for Bathsheba. It's becoming PK.
Right.
It's psychokinetic. It's gonna take on that role the more and more you ask it. So it's something that just it knows how to fool people.
Right.
So, and it's definitely intelligent. It's not residual.
And I don't think it's necessarily even the house. I truly believe it's the land. I think this land is saturated so much with so much history that it's so hard for us to even sort out. I mean, we almost do believe a lot of it is Native Americans. Like, it's the neighbors have told us about some of the issues they're having. I really think it's the land. I don't think it has to do with the house in general. I think it's where it's located.
So what do you guys think is going to happen this week when the cameras are on all the time? Do you think crazy activity or what kind of stuff are we going to see?
It's so hard to say. Like, it's not like we can guarantee anything, because I mean, you could go 4 or 5 days without anything happening. So it's hard to say, but I hope that things will happen, especially at night. I'm excited because we'll be able to leave up. I mean, we have a camera system and they've got some cameras that they sent to us, so we'll be able to leave cameras up at nighttime. So feel anybody that wants to log on and, like you called it, help us do our job and look for stuff that we might be missing, because I mean, that's what I hope for, is just the activity that is going on when...
It's subtle little things that we've noticed that have caused us to review some of the tapes that we have. Like, where'd that book come from? Why is that book on the ground? Okay, go review the tape. Okay, the book got thrown off the shelf. You know, so I always tell people, it's like, if a tree falls in the wood, does it make a sound? You know damn well it does. So, you know, obviously something's going to happen in the house. Just keep an eye on. We have to just be vigilant and watch the tapes.
Yeah, because I feel like it happens so often for us that unless it's an obvious thing, like a book in the middle of the floor that wasn't there, we are just so used to it that we're probably missing so much as it is. First probably 3 or 4 months, we watched the cameras continuously, and now it's just kind of like, oh, let's just go back and see when we know something moved. Like,
if the motion sensor goes off,
we're just so used to it that it's, you know, it'll just be nice that it's. I love that everyone can interact with us and help us see stuff that we're probably missing. Yeah. So that's what I hope for. I hope it's going to be active.
I think what they have me and you together, we're going to be... I'm like, you want us to do what? I'm not saying what it is, but I was just like...
Is that a teaser? We're not supposed to say anything.
No,
right?
I didn't say nothing, but I'm like, does he know we're doing this?
Oh, I'm excited, man. That was my idea. I was... talking to Jay, and yeah, it's going to be a pretty freaky night, definitely. And, you know, above all, I think with the quarantine and having kind of an interactive event like this, people are going to notice those things, because in our videos and the stuff that I put out, I miss like so much evidence, because it's like you guys, when I've been doing this so long and you kind of go into the locations so often, you miss these little things, or in the video edits, sometimes I have to rush it out and I'll miss an EVP or something. And it's having that extra eye, just be kind of watching, like the omnipresent, watchful eye, I guess, however you would phrase that. Yeah. It helps you find a lot of stuff. Yeah. So I'm excited because I've been bored as hell in this quarantine. So it's gonna be a fun night.
We're excited too. I mean, I know everyone else is excited to be able to watch this stuff, but I'm excited. Like, I'm just excited as everybody else, because I just can't wait to see and hear what everybody else gets to. Like, I am excited. This is gonna be fun.
Awesome, guys. We got more than enough. I got to call another person at 7 and then someone else at 7:30, so I got a full rest of the night. But thank you guys so much for doing this. I appreciate it, really, from the bottom of my heart.
No problem.
Thanks for having us on, bro.
Oh, is that a custom Ouija board?
It is.
Wow. Oh, that's interesting.
It's a blood board.
What does that mean?
When he sands it down, he actually uses his palm and he bleeds, so it soaks into the wood. And they do it on a full moon?
Yeah, it's like a weird way that they do it.
Some vampire shit.
Yeah. Vampire shit. It's awesome. We should probably use that. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, we could use it probably.
We haven't used it yet. It's just sat there because we think it's beautiful.
That would be, oh my God. I didn't even know that people did that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now I want one. Well, guys, I'll let you get out of here. Thank you again. I'm going to go get some water and then got to call in 5 more minutes. But thank you again. And we'll be chatting this week.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, man.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Have a good one. Hello. Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, very good. Oh my God. First of all, it's a pleasure to join you. I thank you very much for the opportunity to do this. You know, it's obvious that you're, just one of these wonderful people in the paranormal who totally gets it. So we're doing this event this coming week for a variety of reasons. First and foremost, we're all trapped at home. We're living in the age of, what is this? That's the top of my head. So this event that we're doing this coming week, starting on May 9th, it was really a brainchild in the making. I had spoken at length I know Jay Lemke and Scott Perlman for years. And we've always wanted to work together. And then I come to find out they've been in touch with the new owners of the farm. And when he called me close to the end of December last year, he said, let's do an event at the farm. Would you be interested? And I'd been there to film Ghost Adventures. I'd been there with my family to film Kindred Spirits. We just did another documentary there at the beginning of March. So I was like, I don't want to be overexposed in terms of the farm, but I also loved the farm. And so to have access to it again has been very special and very important to me, because it really is the only place that's ever felt like home to me. Everything else is temporary. The farm is permanent. And I had gone about 6 years not having access to it because of a falling out with the previous owner around the Conjuring and all of that. So I had retracted myself from, and kind of given up the idea that I would ever be able to go there again anytime soon anyway. So when it was sold to this new couple and their family in June of last year, I was delighted. And I only knew them a little bit, like peripherally, like hi at a Paracon or something, but we connected almost right away after they bought it, and I've done everything that I've been invited to do, because every invitation means another trip to the farm and being able to revisit my childhood home. And so it's been delightful for me to be able to be involved. I'm jonesing for my friends in the paranormal, because I'm telling you, Colin, and you'll probably agree with me with this. The happiest people I know are absolutely obsessed with death. But
Yes.
aren't they?
It's so true.
Weirdos and freaks of nature, but the thing is, it's not that they're obsessed with death, really. What they're really obsessed with is the search for an afterlife. But right now, we're going to focus on the farmhouse and this upcoming event, which for me is a joyful experience. And I think of it, the way it's going to be set up is there's going to be a lot of cameras set up all throughout the house. So it's kind of a remote viewing thing, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are going to be people that come in and talk, and not just about the farm, but what they're doing. It's kind of a remote virtual paranormal conference where the people that come into it can interact with those of their favorites in the field, but also while they're doing that, they can watch and see what's going on, if anything, in the house.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm interested to see if the spirit world reacts to it. If the energy exchange, I want to particularly see if while I'm on screen, if there's any extra activity, because usually when I'm in the house, stuff happens. So I'm very interested to see that. And so for me, it is a truly grand paranormal experience and experiment. Ken DaCosta, who is the founder of Rise Up Paranormal, this man's been involved in this field for 30 plus years. He's done hundreds of investigations. He's probably investigated the house more than anybody that I know. And my friend George Lopez, who has a very personal attachment to the farmhouse, George called me late one night. I wrote a book with him called In a Flicker. We're longtime friends and co-authors, and we've been kind of paranormal compatriots for a while. And he called me very late one night, which is not unusual. I mean, sleep is for mere mortals. I don't require much. But he called me and he said, I see Cindy. I just had a vision and I saw Cindy, my sister. And you were all living at the farm, and Cindy snagged a cigarette out of your mother's pack and went out behind your barn. And she's sitting on a large metal square thing. It has holes in it. And she smoked a cigarette and she tapped it out on the metal, and then she put the butt down the hole. And I was flabbergasted. I was like, George, there is no way that you can know that. There is absolutely no way that you can know that. I said, I haven't even thought about that in 45 or 50 years, but I do know that my father had a little English Rover that he picked up for a song, and it needed a new engine. So he took it into the barn and he lifted the engine out, and they took it and they put it around the back of the barn because it was winter. And he left it out there into the spring. And Cindy picked up the very bad habit of smoking at about 14 or 15 years old. I was already off to college, but my sisters, of course, ratted her out to me. And Cindy would go out behind the barn and she would smoke a cigarette, and then she would tap it out and she would put it down in the hole where the spark plugs had gone in the engine. And so when they came and they lifted that engine, in the late spring or early summer of the following year, all these butts fell out of the bottom of it. My father's like, where did these come from? And, mum's the word. Nobody's ratting Cindy out. And, and then they took it and disposed of it or traded it in or melted it down or whatever that they did. But there is absolutely no way that George could have known that at all, unless he was tapping in to another level of consciousness, and not just current consciousness, but in a historical way. That is absolutely fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And then one afternoon he called me and he said, you have a scar on your left shoulder from a protruding nail that was sticking out of the horsehair plaster. You and your dad were going down into the cellar. He was carrying a bag of potatoes. You were carrying a crate of oranges, and you were going to put the stuff down in the root cellar, and you lost your balance on the cellar stairs. and you leaned against the wall and scraped onto one of the protruding hand-hewn nails and cut your shoulder open.
Wow.
I was like, no, it is absolutely impossible. It defies all logic. There is no way. George had never seen my bare shoulder. I was always fully dressed whenever I saw George. There is no way that he saw that scar on my shoulder or how it happened. And even said, and your father stopped in his concern because you were bleeding. And I said, I'll
Wow.
be okay. And then we came up and, cleaned it up. It didn't need stitches or anything. It was just a deep scrape. But what is that? What is that? George has stories like that to share. And I think that the world would be fascinated to hear them. And, if all the superstars were going to be, and there are some superstars that are going to be on this event, but if all of them were superstars that just were looking at this as more of a curiosity rather than being able to express their personal connection and attachment, whatever that is, to the farm or to me, is George tapping into my consciousness, into memories that I don't even remember that I have until he expresses them? There's so much we don't know, Colin. And I think that's the most fascinating thing about what we're doing. I think that once this is all over and we have a chance to think about it and reflect on it, I think that we're going to find that we've done something that is truly groundbreaking, that we've established a new template. I love this home. I love being able to share it with others, to have them feel the energy to the extent that they are able to see the interior of this house, perhaps for the first time. Many things happened to our family at that house over the 10 years that we lived there, and they're all chronicled and documented in my books, House of Darkness, House of Light, the 3 books, the trilogy that I wrote about it. The movie The Conjuring, good as it is, bears no actual resemblance to our story. So this gives me an opportunity as well to tell people the true story. For those that come into this event and have only seen the movie and only know our story because of the elements of that, it's so much more. I think it's the only time in movie making history that they just decided to tone down a story rather than exaggerate it. There were things about the film that were true, but mostly it was conjured in the minds of a couple of screenwriters, nice guys, twin brothers, awesome guys. But everybody is a fear-based carbon unit. If you're a human being, you have your fears, and the executives at Warner Brothers were afraid to tell the truth, because after James Wan read my books and everybody else associated with the film did, they were like, oh hell no, oh hell no. We can't actually tell all of this in this movie. They won't stay till the end to watch it. And so they relied on method and formula and what they knew had, been in the past something that people could tolerate. And there are things about it that are true, but mostly it's conjured up. But in the overarching theme and scheme of things, it leaves people. Have you seen the film? Okay.
Yep.
Well, then tell me if I'm wrong. I think that it leaves people with certain impressions, overall impressions. And that is, number one, that good conquers evil, that love conquers fear, and that the Perron family endured an extreme haunting that they all survived. People are left with those impressions.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of it is written between the lines in 1,500 pages and 3 books that chronicle the 10 years that we lived there in a timeless environment, a swirling nether world of activity that I often describe as a portal, cleverly disguised as a farmhouse. Now people will get to see the portal and hopefully feel the energy of it and be enthralled by its beauty and know that they are looking into, with a bird's eye view, as it were, into one of the original colonial farmhouses that were built in this country before it was a country. And so I invite everybody who feels compelled to want to explore a little, get away from the news for a little while, have a place to jump in and see some of their para celebs that they love to follow and have seen on different shows and, you know, done different things, to be able to actually hop in chat and interact with them and ask questions. And, you know, I think that ultimately it's going to be an extraordinary event. And I want to invite everybody that's willing and able to hop on in with us, and we'll see what comes of this, won't we?
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm really ready for it. Going crazy in quarantine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, I have my own distraction. The gorgeous Princess Buttercup. I know. She's like, Mommy, are you going to take me outside? What I can tell you about the farm and my experience of the farm over the 10 years that I lived there, that for me, it was the most significant decade of my life. I learned so much. It was formative in so many ways. It opened my third eye wide. It taught me that we don't live in a three-dimensional, five-sensory realm, that we live in a multi-dimensional universe. It set my path in life in terms of my own intellectual exploration. It fundamentally changed me as a human being. And even though 30 years of my life passed before I ever wrote a word about it, it made me who I am. And I will always be grateful for it. My sister Cindy wished that it never happened. My sister Nancy wished that we had never sold the farm. My sister Christine would like to bury and forget as much of it as possible. My sister April, who very sadly passed away in March of 2017, loved the farm and went back to visit it as frequently as she could over the years and walk the land and revisit the river. And it was an integral part of who she was. And my father loved it. My mother hated it and said she would never go back. And she has been true to her word since the day we left that property in June of 1980. I have visited it as many times as I can humanly get there. It is a permanent part of my existence, and possibly even in more than one life. And I'll leave it at that, and we'll explore that idea more as we jump into this event. So, you know, thank you for giving me an opportunity to chat with you. I hope we get to do this again.
Please.
You know, maybe do a follow-up afterwards, maybe get together now that we know how to connect with each other, and talk about the galactic family, you know, anything that you want to talk about. You are a charming young man, and I deeply appreciate the opportunity to share my perspective about this with you.
Of course. Thank you for coming on.
You know, it's really all about light and love. I have seen evil. I have seen the face of evil. I have seen the dark side of existence. And I choose every day, deliberately choose to live in the light. And I like to spread that around as liberally. I want it to be as contagious as this virus. I want to infect the world with love. And, you know, maybe that's what will come of this, you know, horrific event, is that we learn to really appreciate each other, and embrace each other, you know, metaphorically, at a time when we're not really allowed to embrace each other physically. I think that it's so interesting and ironic that we realize what social creatures we are and how much we like to touch each other and how close we want to be in terms of our own space when we're not allowed to anymore. It's been a real wake-up call thus far, and this is just the beginning. So let's love each other well in cyberspace and see how that goes.
Yeah, that's the point of this event. Just bringing people together.
It is, truly.
So
Wow.
could you give me, before you go, and then I'll let you hop off, just like a very short, in your own words, I guess, summary of your experience? Maybe like 3 or 4, 2 or 3 minutes long, just so I can kind of cap it with
What I can tell you about the farm and my experience of the farm over the 10 years that I lived there, that for me, it was the most significant decade of my life. I learned so much. It was formative in so many ways. It opened my third eye wide. It taught me that we don't live in a 3-dimensional, 5-sensory realm, that we live in a multi-dimensional universe. It set my path in life in terms of my own intellectual exploration. It fundamentally changed me as a human being. And even though 30 years of my life passed before I ever wrote a word about it, it made me who I am. And I will always be grateful for it. My sister Cindy wished that it never happened. My sister Nancy wished that we had never sold the farm. My sister Christine would like to bury and forget as much of it as possible. My sister April, who very sadly passed away in March of 2017, loved the farm and went back to visit it as frequently as she could over the years and walk the land and revisit the river. And it was an integral part of who she was. And my father loved it. My mother hated it and said she would never go back. And she has been true to her word since the day we left that property in June of 1980. I have visited it as many times as I can humanly get there. It is a permanent part of my existence, and possibly even in more than one life. And I'll leave it at that, and we'll explore that idea more as we jump into this event.
Perfect. Well, it's good for me. I'll let you take the little diva out.
As you wish, Princess.
Well, thank you for talking and hanging out. I'm sure we'll be seeing each other more.
I'm sure.
Obviously very soon because of the event.
You can't get away from me. I put your name and number in my phone. That's it. We're connected.
Okay. Deal.
Have a lovely evening, Colin. Thank you very much for inviting me.
I will. Thank you so much for talking, and have a great night.
I will. I'm going to get a good night's sleep tonight. I promise you that.
When the caffeine wears off.
Yeah, well, no. Good night, honey.
Bye. Hey.
What's up, Colin? Good to see your face, bro.
How you doing, dude?
Doing good. I'm out here quarantined in the deserts of Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley.
Wow, how is that?
It's pretty awesome. I have all the space I need to quarantine in. I've been like hiking every day. I'm shooting Paranormal Caught on Camera season 3 here from the living room, which is something I'm getting used to doing. But I'm excited. Need to get my roots done, you and me both.
Yep,
here we are.
I'm in the same situation. We kind of look similar.
Yeah, I know. Are we siblings? It looks like we could be siblings.
It's kind of creepy. I don't like it.
But anyways, yeah, doing pretty good. What about you?
I'm great. Just I'm personally quarantined in South Dakota in the middle of nowhere, really. I'm on a farm. You can kind of see there's like a field back there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, this is the view back here is like desert land.
Oh my God, that's very different than what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look like you're in a better spot than me. I'm not gonna lie.
I have a pool, a jacuzzi, a sauna, a steam room. Not to brag, but yeah.
Why would you tell me that? That's what I want, dude. Just a hot tub I'd be okay with. Anything.
Yeah, it's been really nice, and it's getting hot now. The desert heat is starting to pick up, so I've just been enjoying it. I actually had to put on clothes for this interview because I've just been walking around like bra and underwear because it's like 100 out here.
Total opposite of where I am. It's been like 40, 50 degrees.
Oof.
Yeah.
I thought it's springtime. It's gonna warm up now. Jeez.
Barely. It's been raining the whole time too. Not today, but most of the days have been gloomy and just kind of sad.
Aww.
Not really though.
Visit.
Please, dude. I would love to.
Yeah, it's gotta happen. Because last time you were here, we went on a whirlwind of like investigations following the trail of all the Manson family murders.
Yep.
That was the last time I saw you. Oh no, I'm lying. I went to Austin, and then I saw
Forgot
you
about me
then.
already. Susan.
Not Austin. Dad had me taking all these shots with that drinking game.
That's true though.
Yeah.
Well.
Oh man.
Good memories. Cheers to that. I'm drinking coffee right now. Can you explain to people online, in case they didn't see the Manson series, who you are?
I'm Susan Slaughter, and I have an independent paranormal content site called The Dark Zone, and you can find it at www.thedarkzone.tv. And you, Colin, and with the Paranormal Files and The Dark Zone, got together and did a whole slew of investigations in Hollywood, where we went to investigate David Omen's house, the Omen house, off Cielo Drive. And then we went to the Manson family caves and we investigated that as well. And I've been reviewing your stuff for Paranormal Caught on Camera. So you've been featured once already on Paranormal Caught on Camera, but I also, for season 3, have just reviewed another featured footage from you guys, from you and Aiton. So I can't tell anybody what that is yet, obviously, but you're gonna have another cameo on Paranormal Caught on Camera, the Travel Channel, Sunday nights. So yeah, you and I have been collaborating on all sorts of things recently.
Mm-hmm. And it's gonna continue. What did you just... Susan? Oh.
I see you now.
Okay, yeah, I see you too. First question for you, Susan.
Yeah.
Oh
my gosh, there's a jackrabbit, look.
It's literally so blurry.
That's the hummingbird. There's so much nature here. Look at it, oh my god. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Did you see the jackrabbit?
No, it's just... Do you think it's going to be scary? Are you afraid of what could potentially happen?
Everybody asks me about like the fear of it, but I definitely don't fear the paranormal in any way, shape, or form. Even like the more intense negative energies, I don't have a fear for. But yeah, I'm more excited to see the relationship between the new family in the home and the supposed spirits that have been living there all these years. I'm curious to know if that was something that just the Perron family, sometimes, it could be a familial thing, but the Heinzes have said that things have been going on, and I've seen like these little clips of some books falling off of shelves and, recording devices being pushed off of furniture and things like that. So obviously there is activity going on there. I'm just trying to see how it all transpires,
I'm excited. I think it's going to be definitely a spooky event all around.
I think so too, and I'm really stoked for all the guests that are going to be taking part of this, as well as you.
And
so
you.
Excited. I am part of it. You're part of it. But it's awesome. I think that's so cool that the Heinzes are shining examples in that way, sharing this field with everybody else. They're not coveting this home and saying, this is our place, these are our ghosts, you know what I mean? They're sharing this with people, and they're sharing this with experts, I think that's a lot to say for the Hineses, because they're also paranormal investigators, and so kudos to them for that.
100% agreed on that. That's like the most important thing, is that we're all just people doing the same weird hobby, and we just got to work together. Well, Susan, I got to go. Thank you so much. You rock.
All right. You rock too, Colin. It's good to see you. Let's hang out soon, okay?
Please, actually. Yes.
Yeah, stay spooky, friends.
You too, friend. Okay,
right.
I'll talk to you later, dude.
Later. Bye.
Bye. Hey.
Hey, Colin, how you doing?
Good. Everybody, I've been on Dave's show before, but in case you don't know him, I'm just going to let him introduce himself.
Well, I'm Dave Schrader, and I'm the host of Darkness Radio. We just celebrated our 14th anniversary on the air as one of the prominent paranormal talk radio shows in the marketplace. I've also been featured on Paranormal State, Ghost Adventures, where I also work behind the scenes, as well as on about 7 episodes. Paranormal Challenge, the mini-series on Travel Channel, and of course now I'm part of the Holzer Files on Travel Channel as well.
I remember I was watching an episode of Paranormal Challenge on YouTube like 6 months ago, and I had no idea that you were involved with the show, and you popped up. I was like, Dave! It was really funny, man.
Huge. I mean, we had trucks and trucks of equipment and people, because we just moved from one site to the next to film these episodes, and it was remarkable. Great opportunity and a fun little mini-series.
My question for you is, I want to know, I guess this isn't really a question, it's more a statement. I would like for you to give me a spooky story that you've heard recently, or even a spooky experience that you've had in filming your show or even creating the content that you create.
I guess a couple of things jumped to mind. One night while I was doing my radio show live, I have my home studio, and my wife, who's my assistant as well, she was off to my side working on things. And while we're doing the show at about 1:30 in the morning, suddenly the TV in the living room just starts blaring. And I mute my microphone. Get out there. Which one of the goofy kids is up this late at night? She goes out there, the TV goes off. A few seconds later, boom, it goes back on and the audio's going through the roof. Then it all goes off again. A few minutes later, my wife comes in just looking drained of color. We're going into a commercial break, so I say goodbye to my audience. We'll be right back with more Dark.
What the hell?
The audio up on the TV, I can see all 3 remotes on the table. Nobody's touching them. And now I'm also logical. Maybe a neighbor's got the same TV and remote and doesn't realize it, and he's waving it around, pushing a button, and it's signaling my TV. She goes, that's what I thought, but I turned the TV off, it turned back on, and the volume went up again, so I unplugged the TV. The minute she did that, the DVD player turns on, and the door starts opening and shutting and opening and shutting and opening and shutting while she's doing this. So she's telling me this, I come back, I'm explaining to the audience what just happened, when all of a sudden we hear boom, and it feels like the whole house. What happened? And we lose all of our connection and our power. No other house in the neighborhood is affected, just ours. So I get knocked off the air. That was a really kind of unnerving, because it's there, it's in your home, trying to get your attention. I like it when I go see it at haunted locations. I don't like so much being isolated at home and middle of the night having weird things start happening. That's where it starts getting unnerving for me.
Were you in quarantine at the time?
No, it just feels like it, because I live in Minnesota, and we spend 7 weeks inside anyway. So we're shooting this episode in Texas, and this family home, and we just uncovered this really weird, unusual story about the family. And we split up. Shane was in the basement, and turns out he was being negatively affected by the spirits. He was getting enraged. Cindy was upstairs, channeling and trying to communicate. And I was down in the other side, in the middle of the house, on the other side of the house, to try to avoid any kind of contamination of sounds. And during that, the cameraman and I heard this female voice speak out loud, and we're like, what was that? Was that in the room behind us? So we get up and we walk out, and I open the door, and we had laser grid shooting down the stairs. both lasers are out. And I said, oh, the lasers are out. But they're two independent lasers on two independent energy sources. They both went out. Well, we didn't know what happened when we replaced the batteries. The next day, while Shane and I are reviewing the evidence, we find out that when I hear the voice and you see me get up, we capture on camera this huge ectoplasmic mist move up and around the stairs and goes up. And at that exact moment, both independent light sources dim and go completely out. So that was a really cool moment for me, because again, it showed how powerful the paranormal can really be when it wants to make itself known.
That's crazy.
And then if you want a good creepy story, I've actually been told.
Yes.
You know, we started a radio show over the years. We've had people call in and share or email their stories to us. And the black-eyed kid phenomena really kind of got popular 7-8 years ago. And we were really kind of, you know, entrenched in it on our show. And I got a message from a local listener. And in Minnesota at this point, we had like 2 weeks of just nonstop rain. And her and her husband were listeners. They would watch the news till 10, go into bed, turn on the radio and listen to us from 10 to midnight. And they go turn off the TV after the news and they hear what sounds like kids playing outside. And the husband said to his wife, he said, why are they playing outside? It's 10 o'clock at night. And she reminds him, honey, we've had a lot of rain. The kids and the parents are probably going stir crazy. They just sent them out. We used to play in puddles when we were kids. That's all that's going on. They go to bed. Well, about 3:30 in the morning, the woman wakes up to see 3 children standing in her room next to her bed. And she is startled. She goes, Dave, I'm a big fan of the radio show. I've learned what you've had to share. There's the hypnagogic and hypnopompic states going in and out of dreams when reality and dreams seem to come together. So I know if I just close my eyes and take a deep breath, everything's going to be fine. So I close my eyes, take a deep cleansing breath, and open my eyes, and the 3 children are still standing there. So she starts to reach over and opens her mouth to scream for her husband, and the little girl in the middle steps forward and gets close to her and just goes, shh, we just want to look at you, they whisper at her. She screams. Her husband leaps up. They turn around. Kids are gone. They go from room to room in this house, turning on every light switch, trying to see what was that. Nothing. They left all the lights on for the rest of the night, cuddled up, huddled in bed, backs to the wall until sun broke. And when it finally did and they started to drift off asleep, they were awoken by the sound of kids outside laughing again. She said that really impacted her. But my favorite part of that story, I got to tell you, is a couple days later, Tim and I are at work. We close down at midnight. I come down about 12:30, and there's 2 cop cars parked behind my car and Tim's car. And I automatically think, oh, my God, somebody's dead. They came to tell us. I come down. They're like, are you Dave Schrader? Yeah. Is Tim Dennis here? I'm like, yeah, we need him down here, please. Okay. So I call Tim. Tim goes, I go, Tim, there's police down here. He goes, tell him I'm not here. I go, they're standing right in front of me. Then I'm wondering, what did he do? And is there a body in his trunk? He comes down. The cops are like, we just want to tell you, big fans of the show. But when you did that black-eyed kid show, we're cops. We use logic. These stories are so far out there and so insane, it's hard to believe. All the wackadoos. He goes, but we're listening to your show. It's about 11:45 at night, and we hear that story. You go to commercial break. Suddenly, our radio goes alive, and we get a call that there is a woman who's distressed. There are 3 kids in her yard at 10 or 11:45 at night, and she has no idea who they are. And he said, I looked at my partner, he looked at me, and we both said, oh, that, and they turned off the radio and refused to take the call. So I love that we were able to get in the heads of even the police officers. Pizza guys were writing to us saying, dude, you can't tell stories like that at this time of night. I'm not delivering pizzas on streets with no lights on. Fling the pizza and text them to go out and get it themselves. Mm-hmm. So I love those kind of stories. But that's my favorite creepy stories from right here in Minnesota.
Yeah, so she didn't have any sort of a haunting in her house before. It was just attracted to her?
That was it. One and done. And usually in the cases of black-eyed kids, they're trying to get in. They're asking permission. It almost falls into that vampiric or demonic folklore where they have to get permission or acceptance to get a hold of you. She woke up and they were just 3 of them standing in her room at the side of her bed. made no sense, terrified her and her husband, but they remain great listeners and continue to write from time to time. So that's one of my all-time favorite, just no thank you stories.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I don't want to see any of that.
I have 11 kids. If kids show up in my room that are not mine with black eyes, completely black, jet black eyes, at 3:30 in the morning, some throat punching and screaming. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, no, I would definitely, I don't know. I would like to think that I would grab my camera and try to get a photo, but in a situation like that, you kind of just blank, because I've seen things like shadows in my room, and I've hated myself for not taking a picture or a video of it. But when you're so afraid, it's kind of like you just don't think like that.
Here's the thing. How often when we do take a picture are we able to even get something? I'd rather stay in that moment and witness it than scramble for my phone, turn it on, get the camera on. By that time, it's over and I didn't see where it went, which is worse to me. Did it just dart underneath my bed? Is it going to grab my ankle in the middle of the sleeping? That unnerves me more. I want to keep an eye on it, know where it went, what happened, and then worry about putting up cameras at another time to try to capture whatever.
I wish that kind of stuff would happen to me sometime, but unfortunately, no black-eyed children yet. Now tonight, I'm sleeping in this basement all alone. It's kind of creepy down here. I'm on vacation right now. Not in the mood. Just trying to chill. Well, a quick question before I get your Conjuring house bit. Do you think that just listening to a program like yours or watching even a live stream of the Conjuring house could potentially invite a spirit into your life, maybe even through a screen or through the fact that you're watching or listening? Because I've had a ton of people online comment to me saying they were watching an episode of the show and they had the same type of activity that was happening in the video happen in their home. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know. But as time went on, I've gotten hundreds of these comments. And with the event like the Conjuring house live stream where people are just going to be, watching this live feed of a haunted house, I don't know. What do you think?
It's hard to say, right? We know that the spirit realm seems to be able to manipulate media, our cameras, recorders, things like that. So we have no definitive way. It's not like there's a spectrogram that we can set down on the next to the TV, and as we're watching it, see if spirits come through the screen at us. We don't know if that's possible. But here's the thing. People are attracted to you and your show. People are attracted to me and my show because they enjoy what we bring. They make a connection, a simpatico connection. So theoretically, if we are all connected, you're talking to them about these experiences and they're engrossed and enraptured in what you have to share. Why wouldn't they maybe get some of that residual backup? Why wouldn't they get some of that? It's a possibility. I also think a lot of it has to do with the power of intention, right? If you go into a thing fearful and afraid it's going to affect or impact you, you might react in a way that you're something very small is being blown out of proportion. So I just tell people, be very cautious with what it is you think you're experiencing. I was very proud in Holzer Files. It would have been really easy to have some of these experiences and jump to the conclusion that we were dealing with the demonic. We understood some of these were darker forces, but it doesn't necessarily mean it was evil. It was just something that was frustrated, angry, old, wanted attention, and it wasn't getting it. So, if we went in and were jumpy and afraid that there were demons everywhere, we might invite that into our realm and allow things to mess with us. But we're very cautious with that. And I think with shows like this, The Conjuring, if you're going in with an interest and a fascination in history and seeing or possibly witnessing for yourself anomalous activity, I think you're fine. It's hiding underneath the blanket, peeking through your deal and being terrified, being in that state. You also have to ask them, are you really getting something dark and malevolent? Or listen, when I die, I plan on hanging out as a ghost for a while. I got a lot of kids. I want to see them grow up. I want to see their kids grow up. But if I get bored, I will haunt people. And if I see you shivering underneath the blanket, you're the first one I'm going to screw with because it'll be fun for me, because that's just my personality. And so in life, so in death. So I would say a lot of times what people perceive as something scary. It might just be a prankster ghost who thinks it's funny to tug your hair or give you a poke or whisper in your ear to get your attention. Doesn't necessarily mean it's something that's looking to feed off of your soul. But again, we have no real way of tracing where these things come from or how they find us.
Yeah, that's the interesting part. And I think it's just going to be, it's such a cool experiment to be able to do this at the Conjuring house with all these different people bringing all their energy and all of their intention into these live streams and connecting with the family and everybody online that's going to be commenting. So speaking of all of this, tell me about what you're going to be doing throughout the event and kind of what your role is.
Well, like so many people, I'll be watching and seeing what takes place during this live experiment in terror, right? We're able to actually spend this isolation period outside of our minds and in this home of one of the most notorious and haunted homes on planet Earth. And you get to find out for yourself what's going on and help direct how this is going to happen. So my role is really as an observer and as a journalist to kind of keep an eye on things. I know I'm going to be stopping in on the show on Wednesday the 13th to interview some of the participants and people involved to see where we're at and what's going on, maybe even encourage them into some new experimental ideas that I've been seeing people suggest or that I've thought up might be good for them to try to incorporate during the investigation. So that'll be my role at this point.
Cool. Well, you want to plug all your stuff one more time? I'll let you get out of here. Let the people online know where they can find you.
Great. Hey, well, first of all, it's always great to catch up with you, and thank you very much for having me stop by. Darkness Radio every Saturday and Sunday. We continue to examine the strange and anomalous of ghosts, UFOs, monsters, myths, legends, conspiracies. And then every Tuesday we do True Crime Tuesday. You can find information on all my radio programs over at darknessradio.com. And for your followers, and only your followers, if they go into the iTunes store or their Google Play store, I will make available to them free of charge the Darkness Radio app so they can download the app and find us and listen to us anywhere. It's free all the time. But still, for your followers, it's specifically even more free right now. So they can go find the Darkness Radio app. It's going to be this cool kind of skull microphone logo. You'll see that button. Connect it. Download it, and you can listen to the shows, and then keep watching the Travel Channel for the Holzer Files. We'll be back this fall with all new episodes in Season 2. We did 10 episodes in Season 1, 13 episodes for Season 2, and we're hoping to get back out on the road and continue the rest of Season 2's filming.
We need to still make an episode of Paranormal Files together sometime. If I'm ever in Minneapolis, we need to go do it.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll be more than happy to join you. I love this stuff.
There's Four Paws is a place that I've wanted to investigate, and the Soap Factory.
I've been to the Soap Factory. I've been to the Soap Factory and investigated and had some really creepy things take place.
See, that's what I want, so that would be perfect.
The Palmer House Hotel, what you should do is come up and investigate the Palmer House Hotel in Sauk Center. We've always had great experiences and weird stuff take place there. And it's a great, fully functioning hotel with a bar and restaurant, and they give you some, amazing concessions in order to ghost hunt in some of the most haunted rooms and haunted spots in the building. And they actually encourage that as, for their visitors. So that's a great place. I'd be happy to join you there again as well.
Awesome. Well, let's get it set up, man. I'll let you know when I'm coming up next time.
All right. As long as everything is lifted and we're back into the real world, I will be looking forward to that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Great talking to you, man.
Stay spooky.
My man, you nailed that. Damn. That was really good. Holy f***. Everyone else put to shame in this video now.
Excellent.
Drew? Can you see us?
I do not see you guys, no.
Hold on.
Hey, yes.
What's up, brother?
What's up, man?
Marie's here.
I'm here. Sorry.
Marie's TikToking, dude. She's driving me crazy, bro.
We miss you.
I missed you guys too. To everybody online, obviously you guys know Jay and Marie at Vulture City. We had a really crazy night when we were there back when was that? Last February?
I think it was
almost, oh my goodness.
a little over a year ago now.
Yeah, a little over a year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we had a blast at the Paracon too. Going to be there again this year.
Dude, we're
Yes.
looking forward to it, man.
I had a
Got a lot of
blast.
fans that can't wait to see you.
Thank you, man. It was some really good energy, man. I mean, we try to really try the best that we can to get good people with good energy, and we don't want any of that drama. Dude, we just want to have fun and just make sure the people that are paying for tickets to come out that they're equally enjoying it as much as we are. So
I'll put a link in the description of this video to the event page too for everybody online. If anybody lives in Arizona, wants to come meet me, I'll be there at your guys' event. And
Awesome.
obviously you can meet Jay and Marie because they're a couple of badasses like me. So how's quarantine for you guys? What have you guys been up to?
you know what, dude?
I
Quarantine.
haven't murdered him yet.
I look forward to the days that we go out. We've been helping out Vulture City on the weekends because it's recreational, so it's been allowed to be open for walking because it's 15 acres, so people can spread out. So on the weekends, I've enjoyed it because we sit out there and been able to enjoy the weather up until here recently. It got pretty hot, but in the evenings we've been hitting it hard like ghost hunting. So we've really gotten some great footage. It just seems like the spirit energy is just coming through that much stronger during this quarantine. That's kind of what we've been doing, besides trying to avoid killing each other, I mean,
Yeah.
we've been doing a whole lot of ghost
5 days of the week we're quarantined in our house, and then we get to go out on the weekend, and that's it to Vulture City. So
That's been our life for
with a
2
teenage
months.
son too, so it's
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
It's a good
Year or two
release.
at that, yeah.
Get out to the ghost town and let it all go.
yeah.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
I was gonna ask you guys actually. That's one of my questions. What's something crazy paranormal that you guys have captured lately, or an experience that you've had?
Dude, we were just talking about this
Yeah.
on Friday. Okay, we had a team that came out to investigate the town, and they were getting pretty decent results. And they came up to the roost where we were hanging out, myself and one of my camera guys, Damien, and my son Brandon. And they're like, so what do you guys, do to get these things to communicate? So I threw on an ITC application, man, and immediately, dude, these spirits start talking to us. And there's a little girl named Izzy that we've discovered lives in the town part-time in my freaking house, dude. Thanks for Marie not telling me for the longest time. But, she comes through a lot. So, Izzy comes through. She's a little girl, and she says, through the ITC application, she says, go hug my dolly. And the dolly behind us that was allegedly haunted. Now, I never really buy too much into it because someone said this, someone said that, and I'm like, unless I see it myself, I don't believe it. So I'm like, do you mean the dolly that Tom brought, which is one of the workers there? And I walked over to it, dude, and before I had even touched it, the music box started playing. And obviously that's kind of a creepy moment. So from there we took it down. They've added a building since you've been there. They've added a church house there that was originally there back in the day. They brought it back. And that's where Izzy hangs out in a lot. So we brought the doll into the church house, and the doll was literally emitting its own EMF, and it increased in temperature, I want to say 7 degrees, and dropped temperature by 7 degrees, which is unusual, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that was just last weekend. About 3 weekends before that, the piano played in the roost, the phone rang, and it was all caught on video.
The
And that
phone
phone was
rang?
100 years old. Yeah, it rang. Ding, yeah, for real.
Did you guys pick it up?
I did because they were like, "Oh, Jay, you gotta say hello," because everyone expects me to do this stupid shit. And, so I'm sitting there. I don't know how to use the phone, and I'm just like, "Hello," and it had this strong echo behind it and a little crackle to it, and I just kind of froze. And I'm like, okay, cool. I just put it back down. But the town's crazy, man. It seems like the more we interact with these things, the more they talk. So it's been a really good time.
Well, I think with this whole thing going on with COVID-19, to be honest with you, the town was hit hard back in 1918 with the Spanish flu. It killed hundreds and hundreds of people. So I sort of feel like that is sort of bringing up a lot of other stuff throughout the town.
Yeah, I really think there might be something
Yeah.
to that for sure.
That is such an interesting concept that I had no idea that the Spanish flu had hit Vulture City.
Oh yeah, big
time.
That cemetery that's behind it primarily is that bodies of the ones that were lost with the influenza.
Whole bunch of children,
Yeah,
because
so
of
since the quarantine, actually, it actually has gotten even
almost
worse.
everybody we know, even throughout the day, we have guests coming up and saying, "Oh my goodness, you know, the building, the brothel. They're having all these issues. I mean,
Yeah.
like having experiences.
It's been cool. It's been really cool for us. Those 2 days that we're there.
I know. I wish I could be there 7 days rather than this house sometimes.
Yeah, true.
I feel that being in an apartment, I'm just like, man, give me an abandoned hospital, cemetery, anything, dude, anything. So, you guys, just a quick question now on that. Do you think that the corona stuff has made the town more active? Like that kind of big energy in the environment has kind of reminded people of what that was, the Spanish flu?
I believe that, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of different stuff. Even though the town is like 15 acres and everybody's able to separate, we still had to. We have signs up there about distancing, you know, and there's sanitizer stuff everywhere, you know, everybody wearing masks and everything like that. So
I think it's reminding the spirits of the time there that when they were going through a tragic event such as we're going through now. But what's funny is we have signs up that say stay a turkey vulture length away from one another, and that's what they used back in 1918 is to stay about almost 6. What's a turkey vulture's wingspan is about 6 feet away from one another. So that was kind of like a what they implemented back then in 1918 to get people to realize for social
there was
distancing.
things on all restaurants, hotels, everything saying everything's closed. Everyone stay in your home. Everything closed down. I thought Americans maybe learned back then, but I guess we didn't.
Yeah, but it's quite interesting though, the correlation right now. So it's been kind of exciting for us, and it's kind of be sad, I guess, sometimes with some of the stuff we're getting.
So, I guess to get into the Conjuring house, what is your guys' role in the event? Like, what are you guys going to be doing? And just kind of like explain that to me.
Can you tell me first so that way I know? I'm just kidding. I'm joking. No. To my understanding that we're going to be interviewing the new owners of the home and just asking some questions. The interest when the people reached out to us, the producers, were that Marie and I are kind of dubbed haunted survivors. So, and we've talked about that, you know that about us, that like, you know, not only were we haunted before, we're still haunted today. And just kind of like, you know, kind of being able to relate to them at a different level, that they purchased this place, I think trying to open it up for, you know, tours and different ghost hunters, and it would be kind of be a fun, like a research type environment, but then they kind of flipped on them. So I'm kind of curious, you know, on how they're reacting to some of the hauntings that are taking place. We're really big on the fear response. You know, you and I have talked about that a lot. So I'm wondering how much fear they're kind of feeding this thing, you know, and if these cameras aren't going to make it even 10 times worse because now the world is watching. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering how that's all going to go, because I know how that the spirits interact with some of the telecommunications that we use, even when we're doing interviews like this. I'm curious how it's all going to go, but I'm really excited because Ed and Lorraine Warren were like people that we looked up to. I looked up to as a child, and I mean, to me, that they're freaking paranormal rock stars. So to be able to talk to someone that's now owning the house and being part of this is really awesome. I'm really excited for it.
No, I'm really excited. It's going to be cool for like us as being a married couple and them being a married couple, and sort of seeing the different, you know, experience. Like what we've gone through, how we were able to survive certain stuff, you know, and stuff like that. And hopefully we're able to give them some suggestions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, on some stuff, but
So, what do you think is going to happen? I don't know what the hell to expect from this place. You guys think it's going to be like scary? Are you guys afraid of what's going to go down, or what?
Well, I'm going to be praying everything and saying, please do not come into my house. I have enough in my house. So
you know, there's a side of me just knowing the haunting and whatnot and what it entails and what's possibly there and what's been suggested to be there, and it's just that, you know, we have a huge problem with piggyback effects from investigations, and I wonder how that's going to affect us in this home while that's going on. So my intent is to document anything out of the ordinary for those days that they're going through quarantine themselves here, because sometimes I know that spirits know that we're coming or we're going to be a part of something. They like to show themselves, you know, in our own home first. So it'd be interesting to see if we could get some of the same stuff and not knowing it that they're getting and kind of match that up. That would be something that would be huge as far as like research and understanding hauntings, you know?
That's so something that I've noticed is that people who like watch my videos will sometimes go on and comment that they had something similar to what happened in my video happen to them at home. So do you guys think that like maybe by doing this we could potentially have something come through, or even like viewers online have something from the house kind of come to them?
I think the danger is very, real. I mean, that might happen. I mean, one thing I know about the paranormal is it's very unpredictable at times, especially if you're dealing with something malignant, possibly demonic, and something with a high, magnitude of energy like this is that there is a huge possibility that bridge. So, I mean, viewers' discretion be advised in participating in this. I think it's a unique experiment in a lot of ways.
It's going to be really unique. All the people they have chosen.
Yeah.
I mean, just amazing people like yourself, Colin, and I mean, Dave Schrader. I mean, there's so
really
many
good
more.
names, bro.
Sam. I mean, Sam is on there. It's just going to be amazing. All these different takes on everything. Because every paranormal investigator on TV, on YouTube, or not on TV, all have a different view on everything, and they're all just amazing. So I'm looking forward to watching the whole thing. I mean, I really will say I'll be watching a lot of it just because I'm very interested in it.
No, I'm super stoked.
But I will honestly say, before we even go on cases, things do start happening at our home. Now, that's our own experiences. Can I say it's going to happen doing this? I can't say. I just know what our past experiences.
I'm going to be documenting. So that entire week, I'm going to have my handheld right next to me, ready to go. So if something does pop off, I can record it, document it, and hopefully share it with the viewer somehow if that's going to be possible.
You're ready to go, man. Both of you guys.
Dude, this is exciting, man. This is a freaking Conjuring house, man.
I know. It's crazy. So if you guys online want to attend an amazing paranormal convention, I was there last year and it was such a blast. We were doing ghost hunting, we were doing ghost tours, I was hanging out all day, meeting all sorts of fun and amazing people, and people that are actually friends that I still talk to. I met at the Paracon and we filmed with in El Paso, like Johnny Barbosa. He's a great guy. But you can go to their website, vulturecityparacon.com, buy tickets. You can see who's on the lineup. You guys have some awesome names this year, like John Zaffis too. That's going to be dope.
Yeah, we're excited about it, man. We can't wait. There's a lot of work going into it, and
get your tickets now.
Absolutely, get them now while they last.
Yes, because for the ghost hunt, it's only limited tickets.
Mm-hmm. That was packed last year too.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was like, wow, dude. And I remember I saw that big ass spider when I was there.
Yes,
and
yes.
I brought the people over to look at it, and they were like so creeped out.
Ghosts and spiders, dude.
Yes.
You got everything.
Yes, it's a total package.
Hey, we even have mountain lion.
Yeah, it's true, we do.
Oh my God.
And maybe I'm gonna pee my pants watching that.
Yeah. Oh no, I would be a little afraid if I saw a freaking mountain lion out there. Well, any final words?
No, I don't have any final words at all. I just hope to see you guys during this live stream. I hope to see you guys out of Vulture City. And everyone out there, stay spooky.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay spooky.
Hey.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
It's rainy out. It's a gloomy day in South Dakota, so I'm enjoying it.
You're in South Dakota?
Yep, outside of Sioux Falls in a very small community called Renner.
That's one state I've never been to.
Really?
I've been to North Dakota, but not South.
Where in North Dakota? Fargo?
No. Minot? And then we weren't really in Minot. We flew into Minot, and then we drove like another hour to like an Indian reservation, and had like it was a Playboy fight night energy drink big event there.
In North Dakota?
Yeah. I don't think there's much else to do, so.
You can ghost hunt and check out the fields, but that's about it.
Well, you know what we did during the day? One of the guys took us, he's from the casino, he took us out on his boat, and we went out on the lake and stuff like that, so that was amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty, but it's just very desolate.
I saw some buffalo.
Yep, there's plenty of them there.
A white one, even.
A white buffalo?
Yeah, I think they call them pink ones because you can kind of see, their skin through their white fur, so they're kind of pink. And I was like, pink buffalo? What?
I've never seen that. I'm jealous.
Oh, see what? I've only been to one Dakota, and I've seen more than you have.
Yeah, and I've been like I live here, or I did. Well, we'll get this thing started. Just so we can give the viewers an idea of who you are, why don't you just introduce yourself, tell us what you're doing in life.
Hey everybody, I'm Bridget Marquardt. You may know me best from Girls Next Door. I was on that for 6 years, where I lived at the Playboy Mansion with Holly and Kendra, and that was really fun. Since then, I went on to do a Travel Channel show, and but the whole time that I've been doing all that stuff, that I've always had a passion and love for the paranormal ever since my first experience when I was 12 years old, playing with the Ouija board, and I summoned my great grandfather, and I started having weird things happen. From that point on, I've just been obsessed, and I've been ghost hunting since then, in one form or another. It was before there was equipment and that kind of thing, but I would always like try to go to haunted places or haunted cemeteries or just creepy cemeteries. I don't even know if they were haunted, and walk around and try and see if I could feel anything or see anything or experience anything. And so now it's led me to this, where I have my very own podcast. It's called Ghost Magnet, and it airs every week on Monday morning. And I get to talk to everybody about their ghost stories, about their experiences, their equipment they use, like whatever, all aspects of the paranormal, and I love it.
Well, I've listened to your podcast, and I also love it. I was introduced through Susan because she was on, and I saw her post about it. And you do a really great job of interviewing people, and the production on it just sounds great.
Thank you.
I just started a podcast too, like 2-3 weeks ago. Filmed a whole season in Ohio, and we started to go live in haunted buildings across Ohio, and we captured some just crazy activity multiple times. We were shooting video and audio. And we were at this place called the Death Car in Cleveland. And
Yes!
Have you been there?
No, but that's so funny because I just before we called each other, I was recording my podcast, and I was recording with Zachariah the Witch, and he was, I don't know if he's originally from Ohio, but he used to live in Ohio and be part of a Ohio paranormal group. And I was like, oh, every time I talk to somebody from Ohio, I want to know if you've been to the haunted rail car. And he's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. And I was just talking about it like a few minutes ago, and now here you are bringing it up on your own.
That's weird.
It's really weird because I feel like nobody, as many paranormal people as I know, and even people from Ohio, do not know about this rail car.
Yeah,
and it's
crazy.
So tragic. It's such a tragic story, but I'm fascinated by it because I'm weird like that, and I want to go there. So I'm trying to get stories from people who have been, and everybody's like, what haunted rail car? I'll have to look that up. I don't know what you're talking about. So anyway, please tell me your story.
Yeah, we were there for the whole night, and it was just frigid cold because this was in February. And we set up the podcast equipment outside of the actual car itself in the main area, the wheelhouse, where they also have a ton of activity because workers have died there, and there have been just weird accidents. And in the middle of this podcast, I'm interviewing, well, we did interviews with like actual railroad workers who worked there, and they had some crazy stories about seeing ghost lights on the tracks and stuff. But I'm sitting there watching this guy talk, who is the guy who like connects with the spirits the most there. His name's Steve. And our camera on a tripod literally got pulled like 3 feet backwards on the ground, on the gravel. And we got it on video. It literally went, and everyone looked down.
That's good that you got it on camera.
I know, almost missed it, but it was right in the other shot. And we tried to debunk it like 100 times and jumped on the platform next to it and tried to shift the position, but it literally just got yanked. And that car is creepy too, the actual death car itself.
Yeah, I hear you that it smells like smoke, and you can hear screams or on like EVPs and stuff like that, which is yikes, but also exciting for a paranormal investigator.
If you ever go to Cleveland, you should definitely go because it was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was in Cleveland once, but it was not before I was investigating, but before I had any kind of tools or anything like that. So we didn't stop there, but.
Okay, anyways, so why don't you give me a spooky story that maybe you've heard or experienced lately, because I'm genuinely interested with all the quarantine stuff, what people have been up to.
Well, I haven't had any paranormal stuff necessarily happen while I'm on quarantine. I don't think my house is haunted in any way. But we were doing what we call quarantine check-in episodes. We're still doing them, where we just we started wondering one day, like, okay, it really sucks to be quarantined and everybody's kind of losing their mind and stuff, but what if your house was haunted and you were in self-isolation in your house that's haunted, and you had, I mean, the only time you could groceries, like what then? And so unfortunately, we happen to know a lot of those people who are in those situations from doing the podcast, so we started making contact with them. In fact, I'm going to be talking to Corey Heinzen after we're done talking about his experience, but we've talked to David Oman, Naomi Grossman, Robin Snodgrass, even Holly Madison, my co-star from Girls Next Door, she lives in a haunted house and she's had like crazy stuff happen. So we're going to start playing those weekly and everything. But while we were recording those, on 3 of the episodes, we actually got something weird happen. Now, I can't investigate it, so I don't know 100% that it's paranormal. But when we were recording with David Oman, one of the things that happens at his house is he has these Beetlejuice figurines and they always flop over. And he was talking about how they've been flopping over a lot lately, but his paranormal activity hasn't been excessive. It's actually been lower than usual, but his figurines keep still falling over. While we were talking, we could hear the thud of one fall over behind him, and he's home alone.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. And then when we were talking to Robin Snodgrass, there was like this weird image that like a light thing that would go by. It almost looked like a car was driving by past a window or something, and that's just all I figured it was until when we were getting sort of to the end of recording with her. Rob, my producer, said, did you guys notice that light go by? And I was like, that's the 3rd time I've seen that. And she's like, and then she scanned the room for us and said she's not in front of any window or door. So that was kind of cool. And then I have an upcoming podcast with Jay Rodriguez. He's done Broadway and lots of TV shows and stuff like that. And we were sitting there talking about all kinds of haunted stuff and how a couple was murdered in his apartment complex and a long time ago, back in the 80s. And then he was also telling me about how his dog passed away on the very table that he was like recording from. And he was asking me if there's such a thing as pet ghosts. And I was like, absolutely and stuff. And he's like, oh, I wish my dog would give me a sign or something. And I'm like, she probably does, but maybe you haven't noticed. And just as we were talking about that, his garbage disposal started. What? Which is scary because good thing nobody's hands were in there.
Yeah.
But he freaked out and he was like, oh my God. And he grabbed his whole laptop and ran over to the sink and it shut off on its own too. It started for like a second and then stopped. And he was like showing the goosebumps in his hair, on his arms, just like that. And I had the chills and we were like, oh my God. So like 3 things happened just via Skype during quarantine, talking to people in haunted houses.
That's really lucky, you know?
I know. That's what I told Rob. Like, I can't prove that any of those things were necessarily paranormal, that David's dog didn't run into the fish tank that the figurines are on, or that Jay doesn't have a glitch in his garbage disposal or whatever. But, like, it's pretty weird, you know?
Well, what's your role for this whole Conjuring thing? Let's talk about the house and everything.
Good question. So I interviewed Corey back in October. It was recently right after he had purchased the house, or at least he came public purchasing the house, and we talked about the history of it and what he had experienced at that time in there, which he hadn't been in there very long then. And he was talking about how he wants to eventually open it up for paranormal investigators and stuff, and he was getting ready for Ghost Adventures to go in there. That was the last time I talked to him. So like I mentioned earlier, we'll be doing a quarantine check-in with him today in a few minutes, and we'll see if any other things have happened. But for the live show that they're doing on Saturday, May 16th, I will be calling in and doing my podcast with them for like an hour or so and seeing what's been going on, what they've experienced. Just getting all that information from everybody that's there. I'm excited. I wish I could do it in person.
Yeah, me too. What do you think's going to happen? You think there's going to be activity?
It's a good question. I mean, I think there's going to be activity because I think that house always has activity and there's all kinds of stuff that goes on 24/7. But I have to assume, I don't know what Rhode Island's rules are right now, but we're still sort of on lockdown over here. So I can't imagine they're going to have too many people physically in the building, and they're going to have to keep their distance. And I feel like that's going to affect the energy a little bit. But I don't know if it affects it negatively or positively, but we're going to find out.
I know. I'm excited. It's going to be just a spooky week-long affair. I've never been there, and I just met everybody that's involved, including Andrea Perron, and it has been just crazy listening to everybody's stories. And I got to ask you one more question, because this is something that I've been talking about with people. Do you think that it's possible for someone who's watching a broadcast, even if it's pre-recorded, to have some sort of energy from the location come to them?
I would say it depends on who you're interviewing and what you're talking about. I would say that typically, I would say no, it wouldn't create any kind of paranormal activity for the person watching if you're just interviewing somebody about their experiences. But if you're interviewing somebody, like for instance, we did a live seance with Patty Negri. When she's opening that portal and you're watching and listening her open that portal, you're part of that seance now. And I think if you don't close it or stay till the end and close it properly, then you are actually inviting things in and you need to close it. But if you're just listening to someone's stories, I would say it's probably more coincidence if things are happening. But if you're experiencing that like 100 times, then that's more than coincidence, and maybe there is something more to it.
Mm-hmm.
But my first initial reaction is no, it would be coincidence unless you're doing something where you're opening the portal and they're involved.
Well, that makes what I'm about to do spookier because I'm doing a Ouija board with the family. So everybody who's watching this is going to get a good dose of the old portal opening.
Yeah, well, then they should also get a dose of how to close it, too.
Yeah, agreed.
When it's over.
Well, thank you for talking to me. I know you have more to do today, so I'm going to let you go on and get back to the quarantine work schedule, which is interesting.
Yes. That's how it's been. I mean, luckily we have nice weather here, so we've been able to go outside and sit by the pool and barbecue and things like that. So it kind of takes away some of that. But we did at the very beginning have a lot of rainy, cold weather, and it was like, puzzles. Well, I'll bake something and then I'll eat it and then I'll do some more puzzles and now we'll watch a movie. And
that's how I am now. So I'm in the kids' toy room actually. This is the kind of creepy little closet area. Thank you for joining me on this little video.
Have a good day.
Have fun with the interview. Bye.
Bye.
Is there anybody down here with me in the basement? There's this creepy little kid's corner back here. Can you give me a sign by moving something or tapping something or using your voice if you're here with me? Just some movement from upstairs. Can you give me any sort of a noise? If you're upstairs, okay guys, since it's really late here, it's about 3 a.m. and I still have to finish editing this video to get it out tomorrow because the event starts so soon. I've been investigating for about an hour now and I actually did capture some crazy things, but I feel like it's an injustice to include the footage at the end of this episode. I'm going to cut a whole episode out of my investigation of this place. I used the REM pod, using the Ovulus, all these different tools, so that's going to be coming soon on the channel, but Thanks for watching. Please join in for that Conjuring live stream on the Dark Zone. I'm going to put the link in the description below. I'm going to be going live with them a couple nights during the week, and there's a lot of amazing guests. It's going to be an amazing event, and I'm so happy and blessed to be a part of it. But updates coming soon. Thanks for watching. Shawshank Prison is up next, and that is a hell of a creepy video. Jeff gets scratched, and we capture some crazy poltergeist activity, even during the interviews. The whole video is intense from start to finish. So anyways, y'all, it's Colin here. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay spooky. Hello.